Good day. My name is Rowan Karstel, the CEO of Tumelo Coal Mines. I'm also a director of Macau Mining. Macau Mining belongs to Bridget Gadebe, who is the sole owner, and she's also got a 51% stake in Tumelo Coal Mines, 26% stake in Dorsfontein and Verzande Coal Mines. And then she's got also some equity stake in the Marula Platinum Mine and Mogomo Chrome Platinum. Just a brief history. Tumelo started in 2009 when Total Coal South Africa opened the mine. It was operational till 2014 and then it was closed because of very low coal prices. 2015, Exxarco Coal Company bought out the equity stake of Total and they became the equity partner of Tumelo. The mine was only opened up in 2019 when Macau Mining made a business proposal to the Exxarco board. We couldn't get any funding from the banks, so we made use of some innovative financing techniques. We went to contractors, they put some capital into the operation, and in that way we could open up Tumelo Coal Mine. And the contractors that really helped us was STA, Malangelo of the plant and Jabula of the weighbridge. And today most of the loans have been paid back. From my side, what's important to me is the triple bottom line, and also I want to add a community pillar. Now the triple bottom line, firstly, it looks at finances. Your mine must be financially viable, otherwise you can't have a positive cash flow. Secondly, you need to have a health and safe environment. And from that side, what's important to me is a holistic approach, where you start up in the morning, come to work or underground and go back home safely to your family. And particularly important to me is the brothers keepers principle, where you look at your fellow employee to make sure they work safely. On the safety side, one particular point to me that's really a concern is the road from Indrina to Middelburg. It's one of the most dangerous roads in South Africa, extremely high fatality rate. The people speed, they drive over white lines, and there's a lot of coal trucks on that road. For those of you that use that road, please drive safely. And then on the health and hygiene side, we all know it's COVID. Please stick to the COVID protocols, wear your mask, sanitize, keep social distancing. And vaccinations is not 100% the answer. You're still going to get sick, although it will keep you out of ICU. So still be very vigilant when it comes to COVID. On the environmental side, we need to act responsibly. We need to look at the environment and take care of the environment. And a lot of money has been spent on Tumelo to make sure that we do comply to the environmental legislation. On the community side, the last pillar, South Africa sits with extremely high poverty and unemployment rates. In Mpumalanga, the unemployment rate is over 60%. And from our side, we try to help the Indrina and Pullens Hope community where we can. And then lastly, I just want to thank the team that worked on this video. They've done a lot of good work, and interesting health and safety video will follow after my short note. From my side, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video.
Welcome to Tumelo Coal Mine. Tumelo Coal Mine is a joint venture between Macau Mining and Exxarco Coal Centre, or ECC, and is in Mpumalanga, 15 kilometers northwest of the town of Hendrina. We strive to create an environment and workplace free of injury, with minimum effect on the health of our employees, as well as minimum impact on the environment and communities in which we operate. We aim to do this by implementing a zero-tolerance policy, systems to ensure compliance with all applicable legislation, a system where everyone looks out and cares for each other and the environment. In this video, we equip you with the knowledge needed to safely navigate your way through your journey with us. Pay careful attention and remember, if you're in doubt, ask. The cardinal rules are as follows. Never enter unsupported roof conditions. Do not operate any mobile machine, stationary machine, or vehicle if not authorized. Do not come to work under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Isolate and lock out all sources of energy before commencing of work. Do not tamper with safety devices. Report all incidents and accidents. Communicate and participate in safety matters and initiatives. Never enter the working area of a moving mobile machine. You must be trained and competent to perform your work. Most people infected with COVID-19 experience mild symptoms and recover. However, some go on to experience more serious illness and may require hospital care. Criteria for an increased risk: aged over 60, diabetes, hypertension or high blood pressure, chronic obstructive airway disease, which is either occupational or non-occupational, asthma, TB, obesity, people with weakened immune system, for example those with cancer, retroviral disease, and chronic kidney disease. The following will take place upon arrival of employees to the site. A questionnaire will be available to all mine employees in which you must indicate your travel history, either from outside South Africa, between provinces, or possible COVID-19 hotspots. Include a history of COVID-19 contact from areas of residence during the lockdown and flu-like symptoms. Indication of any of these will be treated as through-off COVID-19 infected. You will then be isolated and tested before you're allowed back into the workplace. The mine has the following measures in place to mitigate or manage COVID-19. Pre-screening and medical examinations will take place at Clinic Plus to declare employee fit for work. The mine has no isolation or quarantine facilities outside the premises and will have to rely on government or public facilities. Available quarantine areas outside the mine premises will be identified for cases where the employee cannot apply self-isolation. Security personnel and medical staff will be made available when required at pre-screening activities outside the mine premises. Tumelo Coal Mines will identify EAP consultants and/or public services in consultation with the mining contractor to assist employees if required. All employees are issued with hand sanitizers and the correct PPE. Hand wash facilities are also provided where practical, and used masks will be disposed of in containers or plastic bags provided for this purpose. Flu vaccinations are also available to all employees on request if available. All work areas, vehicles, machinery, tools, and equipment are cleaned and disinfected daily. Keep a 2-meter distance at all times. If you display any symptoms of COVID-19, do not go to the doctor, pharmacist, or nurse. Call the number on screen and someone will come to you to have you tested. Stay clear from suspended loads. Machinery, mobile equipment, tools, and hazardous chemicals must be declared, checked, and approved by the responsible Tumelo Coal Mines engineer. All employees must report unsafe conditions and at-risk behavior immediately to their direct supervisor or the work health and safety representative, who must investigate and take appropriate action and/or report it on the incident form. You have the right to refuse dangerous work or leave a dangerous working place. You are responsible for your own safety and for the safety of other employees that may be affected by your activity. Safety policy. Our safety policy entails the following: complying with all legal and other requirements pertaining to safety, effectively applying the health, safety, environmental management system in order to strive to achieve zero harm, providing leadership, training, and awareness, and establishing open and transparent communication and participation with all employees and stakeholders. Alcohol and drugs. We have a zero-tolerance drug and alcohol policy. You will undergo a breathalyzer test upon entering our site and on an ad hoc basis drug testing. If you test positive for the first time, you will be suspended until your disciplinary hearing and will receive a final warning that is valid for 12 months. Testing positive for the second time will result in dismissal. Please note that you have the opportunity to test voluntarily before entering the site. If the results are positive, you will be required to return home and will be booked AWOP. If involved in an incident, you will be tested for alcohol and drugs. Drug testing will also occur during your annual medical examination. Prescriptive medication may affect your mental and/or physical disposition. Please inform your supervisor. Smoking policy. All areas are no smoking areas except those designated by signage that indicate smoking area. Sexual harassment policy. Establish sound relationships between the company and its employees, as well as between employees themselves. Sexual harassment is, amongst others, something that undermines this objective. Consequently, the company would like to create a climate in which the employee will feel at liberty to report incidents of sexual harassment or inquire about company policy. The type of risk assessment used depends on the level of risk. A level 1 risk is a routine task in a normal environment where you would need to apply the SLAM process. SLAM is a 4-step process where you must stop prior to any task or activity. Look, identify what can harm you. Assess how you will control the situation to prevent injury. Manage the situation while conducting the task. A level 2 risk is either a non-routine task in a normal environment or a routine task in an abnormal environment. For this type of risk, you will need to carry out a formal risk assessment. Before conducting any task or activity, the individual or team must complete a formal pre-task risk assessment in accordance with the process. All pre-task risk assessments must be submitted to the Safety Department for analysis. A level 3 to 4 risk is a non-routine task in an abnormal environment or complex issue. For this kind of risk, you must carry out a detailed HIRA or task analysis. Tumelo Coal Mines has identified significant hazards that you may be exposed to during your work or visit in the underground and surface workings of the mine. Underground significant risks. In the underground area of the mine, these are significant hazards you may encounter: fall of ground, moving mobile machines or TMM, explosions, fire, stored energy. And in the surface area of the mine, you may face the following significant hazards: moving parts of machinery, electricity, TMM, stored energy, fall from heights. Let's take a closer look at the significant hazards. Fall of ground. Mining activities result in damage to and elevated levels of stress in the host rock which surrounds the mining excavation, roof, pillars and floor. The term fall of ground is used to classify those accidents that relate to unexpected movement of rock mass and the uncontrolled release of debris and rock as a result of gravity and/or elevated levels of stress or pressure and strain burst. Improvements in rock engineering techniques, monitoring and improved roof support systems using bolting and netting have significantly reduced the risk and incidence of falls of ground in working areas. A number of critical controls have been put in place on the mine which must be enforced and complied with in order to ensure that the risk of fall of ground incidents is adequately managed. These controls include, but are not limited to, no unauthorized personnel being allowed to enter the underground workings. All working areas are to be examined and declared safe by an appointed competent person on a daily basis before personnel are allowed to enter or work in them. Areas which have not been declared safe must have a means put in place to prevent inadvertent entry into them. Only persons conducting the examinations and making safe inspection may enter the area before it has been declared safe. Mining must only be conducted according to an approved mining layout and cutting sequence. Support must be installed as soon after excavation as possible. All areas on the mine must be systematically supported, at least as per the mine's systematic support rule. No person may enter an unsupported or inadequately supported area or move beyond the second last line of support. All hazardous structures or features which occur in the roof must at least be supported as per the mine's support rules. The recommended average and maximum bond widths and intersection sizes must be complied with at all times. All identified hazards must be reported to the relevant appointed and competent person immediately. Do not walk or sit close to the pillar sidewalls or corners when working underground. Always walk in the center of the roadway. Do not conduct work in confined spaces between the pillars and equipment or machinery. If you are not required in the section, ensure that you return to the waiting place and position yourself in a safe place until you are required to re-enter the section. Always report to the responsible miner before entering the section. In pillar extraction sections, ensure that you do not move beyond the last active breaker liner at any time. Always comply with instructions issued by the miner, shift boss, mine overseer and/or mine manager. Do not store material or consumables close to the pillar sidewalls. TMM. The most common causes of TMM incidents include the following: pedestrian entering moving TMM working radius, operator limited visibility, blind spot, confined or congested area, defective safety and warning systems, failure of braking systems, poor operator visibility, dust generated by process, inadequate traffic control and management, and many others. Please refer to the mandatory code of practice for the operation of TMM. Familiarize yourself with the other common causes of TMM incidents. Explosion, flammable gas or coal dust. Methane explosions occur when a buildup of methane gas contacts a heat source and there is not enough air to dilute the gas level below its explosion point. Likewise, fine particles of coal dust in the right concentration that contact a source of heat can also be explosive. Techniques have been developed to monitor and manage the presence of methane. Ventilation fans with carefully planned ventilation flows can adequately dilute the flow of methane, while dust prevention measures limit the levels of coal dust particles in the air. For more information on this significant hazard, please refer to the mandatory code of practice for the prevention of flammable gas and coal dust explosions in collieries. Explosion. The controls in place to prevent a flammable and coal dust explosion are as follows. Administrative controls. Legal requirements, MHSA. Code of practice to prevent flammable gas and coal dust explosions. Preventing gas accumulation of explosive concentrations of flammable gas using ventilation and barometric pressure monitoring, etc. Providing for the early detection of flammable gas, telemetry system and handheld gas detecting instruments or GDIs. Preventing ignition of flammable gas, changing cutter peaks, continuous flow rate and pressure of water supplied to CM, and flame proofing, limiting the formation and dispersion of coal dust, inertization of coal dust, use of water, stone dust barrier design, stone dust applications, and stone dust sampling. Underground fire, overheating of equipment or machinery, hot surfaces, oil spillages onto hot surfaces, slipping of conveyor belt, cutting and welding operations, electricity, short circuits, overloading, heating and earth faults, flammable substances such as diesel, cleaning solvents and others, sparks caused by light metals and others. Please refer to the mandatory Code of Practice for the prevention of fires at mines for more information. Stored energy. Stored energy is accumulated energy that can release suddenly, potentially causing serious injury or death. It is particularly dangerous because the hazard still remains, even though the original source of energy may have been removed. Examples of stored energy in the working environment: cables under tension, drill string under torque, compression springs, tanks or pipelines under pressure, or conveyor belts under tension. Stored energy must be managed carefully, or serious injury or death can occur. It's essential that all potential sources of stored energy are identified and that suitable controls are implemented to prevent the unintentional release of energy in a way that could cause harm. For more information, please refer to the Voluntary Code of Practice for the isolation and lockout of energy sources. Moving parts of machinery. The causes of injuries from moving parts of machinery are as follows: inadequate guarding, non-adherence to guarding standard, not replacing guards after maintenance, inadequate isolation and lockout of machinery, working on machine whilst in motion, safety devices failure, maloperation, human error or tampering with safety devices, unauthorized entry and access, equipment failure, and others. There is always a way to safely control moving parts. In general, there are 5 basic steps to control these risks. Isolation and lockout of primary energy source prior to work on machinery. Maintaining the method of isolation and lockout. Guarding of moving parts. Replacing guards after maintenance or repairs. Interlocking of guards with machine in certain cases. No loose clothing to be worn close to moving or rotating parts of equipment, and no conveyor belt structures can be cleaned while in motion. For more information, please refer to the Voluntary Code of Practice for the isolation and lockout of energy sources. Electricity. The causes of electrical hazards are as follows: defective electrical installations and protection, overloading of circuits, unauthorized access to electrical installations, incompetent artisans, exposed or substandard wiring, use of substandard or defective equipment, protection failure, and others. These are the controls that have been put in place: warning signs and notices for electrical installations, substations secure with locks to prevent unauthorized access. During failure of supply, consider all electrical equipment and conductors live. Isolation, lockout and testing. Remote switching. Only authorized persons allowed to work on electrical circuits, and appointment of competent artisans. For more information, please refer to Chapter 3 of the Mine Health and Safety Act regulations, as well as the Voluntary Code of Practice for the isolation and lockout of energy sources. All employees must ensure that seat belts are worn by all occupants of a vehicle, and the operator is not disturbed while operating or driving the vehicle or machine. Don't enter the work area of a mobile machine whilst in operation. Do not board or dismantle a moving mobile machine or vehicle. Do not operate a vehicle or machine if not authorized to do so. Machine operators must adhere to safety signs. Be aware of pedestrians. They have the right of way at all pedestrian crossings. And remove the ignition keys to prevent unauthorized use of vehicle or machine. Do not use cell phones while driving or operating vehicle or machine. Exceed the speed limits as indicated by signage, or leave a vehicle unattended while the engine is running. Please note that reverse parking is mandatory at all areas of the mining property. Headlights must be switched on at all times within the boundaries of the mine. This is how to lift loads. Keep a wide base of support. Your feet should be shoulder width apart with one foot slightly ahead of the other, a karate stance. Squat down, bending at the hips and knees only. If needed, put one knee to the floor and your other knee in front of you, bent at a right angle or half kneeling. Keep good posture. Look straight ahead and keep your back straight, your chest out and your shoulders back. This helps keep your upper back straight while having a slight arch in your lower back. Slowly lift by straightening your hips and knees, not your back. Keep your back straight and do not twist as you lift. Hold the load as close to your body as possible, at the level of your belly button. Use your feet to change direction, taking small steps. Lead with your hips as you change direction. Keep your shoulders in line with your hips as you move. Set down the load carefully, squatting with the knees and hips only. Tumelo Coal Mine requires all employees to report all incidents, including near misses, within the same shift to their supervisors. There are only 5 levels of injury to take note of, and they are as follows. Level 1. First aid injury. A first aid case is recorded when first aid treatment is required as a result of a work-related injury or illness. Level 2. Medical treatment injury. A medical treatment case is a work-related injury or illness resulting in the management and care of a patient to combat disease or disorder, including any loss of consciousness. Level 3. Lost time injury. This is a work-related injury or illness resulting in the employee being unable to attend work on the next calendar day after the day of the injury. Level 4. Fatal injury. A death resulting from an occupational injury, illness, or disease. Level 5. Catastrophic. Short or long-term health effects leading to multiple fatalities or significant irreversible human health effects to more than 50 people. Level 1 and 2 incidents must be investigated by the foreman or shift boss and health and safety representatives. These must be recorded on the incident form. Level 3 incidents by the GES or mine overseer and health and safety representatives. Level 3 incidents and above must be recorded on the root cause analysis form. Level 4 incidents and above by the mine manager or engineer and health and safety representatives. In the surface mine area, you will need the following PPE: hard hat, reflective overalls, protective footwear. In the underground mine area, the following PPE is mandatory: hard hat, reflective overalls, protective footwear, hearing protection, eye protection, hand protection, dust masks, SCSR, cap lamp. And where required by signage, please wear the following PPE: hearing protection, eye protection, hand protection, dust masks. Some tasks require additional or special PPE such as safety harness, electrical work or cutting and welding work, and this will be controlled by your supervisor. Surface emergency procedure. The type of emergencies that may arise in the surface area of the mine are fire, explosion, injury accidents, and exposure to health hazards such as chemicals. In case of emergency, an audible warning will sound. Follow the escape route as indicated by this sign. Report to the assembly point for the area. Provide your details to the person taking attendance. Remain at the assembly point until the all clear is given to return to your workplace. Assist injured people by providing support or first aid. Underground emergency procedure. The types of emergencies that may occur are major fog, fire, explosion, and injury accidents. In the case of a fire or explosion emergency, don your SCSR and proceed to the lifeline. Follow the lifeline until Refuge Bay is reached. Provide details to the person taking roll call in the Refuge Bay. Follow instructions of the most senior person in the refuge chamber. Please note that no person may enter the underground workings unless they are trained in the use of a SCSR. In case of an injury incident, report immediately to your direct supervisor. Apply first aid to the injured. Barricade the area off. Inform the medical emergency team and give them the following information: the state of the medical emergency, how many people involved, condition of patient and type of injuries, location of injured, position of patient, ground or elevated level, suspended, etc., ambulance point. Provide his cell phone number to emergency operator and contact the mine manager or most senior person on the site. Please familiarize yourself with the Emergency Preparedness and Response Code of Practice. Occupational health can be divided into two parts. Occupational hygiene, which entails taking preventative measures to anticipate, recognize, evaluate, and control conditions that may cause illness or adverse health effects. And occupational medicine, which is the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of illness, injury, and adverse health effects associated with a particular type of work. Occupational medicine. The following codes of practice may provide guidelines for the employer and the employees on how to manage medical incapacity due to an injury or illness. Medical incapacity management process. Management of employees with medical incapacity. Disputes concerning the process and/or decisions of the Medical Incapacity Committee. Occupational diseases include diseases caused by physical and chemical agents, occupational musculoskeletal disorders, occupational respiratory disease, occupational cancer, and occupational skin disease. All occupational diseases should be reported to DMR and Medical Bureau of Occupational Diseases, MBOD, as required by the MHSA. Occupational hygiene. We have mandatory codes of practice for occupational hygiene in place for personal exposure to airborne pollutants, noise, and thermal stress. Airborne pollutants. Exposure to respirable dust can cause scoliosis and pneumoconiosis. What the mine does to reduce the dust. Water sprays must work at tips and transfer points of conveyors. Coal to be wetted before loading takes place. Cutting and drilling must be done with water. Transport roads to be kept wet. Noise. Exposure to high and lower noise levels can cause noise-induced hearing loss, and you can lose your hearing. What can you do to reduce noise-induced hearing loss? Be aware of noisy areas at work and at home. Wear hearing protection devices in noise zones when the noise levels are 85 decibels and above. Report to the Health and Safety Department if you experience any hearing problems. Thermal stress. Heat stress exposure could cause heat exhaustion and/or heat stroke. In case of an emergency, report to supervisor and OMP. Move person to shaded area and do the following. Use a fan to lower the temperature. Give fluids. Each chemical used on the mine will have an MSDS available at the place it is stored. MSDS stands for Material Safety Data Sheet. Supervisors must train employees working with chemicals according to information given on the MSDS. Employees may only work with chemicals after MSDS training has been completed. Written proof of training will be kept by each supervisor. Supervisors must ensure that employees who handle or use hazardous chemicals are provided with the correct PPE. Testing of stationary lights and lights on mobile machinery is conducted every 6 months. This is to ensure that illumination levels comply with the set safety standards, to make working environments safe and to protect the health of employees. Personal hygiene is how you care for your body. Good personal hygiene habits are directly related to less illness and better health. This practice involves bathing, washing your hands, brushing your teeth, and more. Wash your hands. Wash your hands when you handle food, before you eat, if you handle garbage, when you sneeze, anytime you touch an animal, after you use the restroom. Scrub with soap for 20 to 30 seconds and be sure to clean between your fingers and the back of your hands and under your nails. Rinse with warm water and dry with a clean towel. If you do not have running water or soap, an alcohol-based hand sanitizer will also work. Use one that's at least 60% alcohol. Fatigue will reduce your performance and productivity at work and increase the risk of accidents and injury to you and your co-workers. If you have fatigue-related issues or concerns, you should contact your supervisor or your health and safety rep or your safety officer. Or when signing your toolbox talk sheet prior to commencing work, please indicate how you're feeling so your supervisor is aware. This you do by selecting a face and marking it according to your mood. The environment includes the surroundings in which we operate, including air, water, land, natural resources, flora, fauna, humans, and their interrelation. Promote sustainable development by ensuring that coal is extracted in a manner that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This is what you can do to help us achieve this. Look out for leaks. Report leaking valves and pipes to your supervisor. Know the difference between general and hazardous waste. Do waste separation. Place waste in designated marked bins. Never put hazardous waste in general waste bins. Always try to reuse water. Rather use dirty water to wash your boots, floors, and vehicles than drinking water. Do not waste water. Close the tap properly after you have used it. Use only what you need. Wash a car with a bucket of water. Do not keep the tap open while washing your boots, etc. Hydrocarbon spillages. Clean small spillages with spill kits immediately and/or report to the supervisor. Understand where your waste should go and put it into the correct containers. If you do not know, ask your supervisor or environmental department. Do not litter. Place rubbish into rubbish bins. The health and safety of our visitors and employees is of paramount importance. We trust that this video has exposed you to all the procedures and rules required to ensure your safety while working with Tumelo Coal Mines. Stay safe and thank you for watching.